just want to kind of let the people know who you are, a little bit about you, just a little introduction. We can get the ball rolling from there.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Angela McGownd. It's at Angela Noel Fitness on Instagram if you want to check that out. Kind of plug myself real fast. But I currently live in Houston, Texas. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a personal trainer here. I moved to Houston about 7 or 8 months ago, right in the middle of June. So it was like right in the middle of the pandemic. Not the most ideal timing, but, it's worked out for me for the most part, so I can't really complain. But I'm from Fort Collins, Colorado. I grew up there my whole life. I went to high school there. I played sports my whole life there. And I have 2 older sisters. And I just come from a really fitness-focused family, I feel like. My mom's crazy. She's a marathon runner. Could never do that, but she's insane. My dad, he was an athlete growing up and still hits the gym these days. And then my sister's a physical therapist. And then my other one is just a fitness goddess as well. She knows everything about lifting and how to work her body and everything. So I come from that, and I really took a focus to volleyball when I was growing up. I played tons of sports growing up, but volleyball is what I'm really focused on, and it led me to getting scholarship to play in college. So I played at a Division I school. It was in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's called McNeese State. It's only 2 hours from Houston, so it's kind of nice. I'm still kind of close. But I played 4 years of college volleyball there, and it was a great experience. I loved going to workouts. I loved going to practice. I just loved the team. I loved every aspect of it, honestly. Traveling, seeing new cities and everything. It was super fun. I didn't even do anything studying wise with even close to personal training. I minored in nutrition, but I actually got my major in business. And I was kind of looking into getting into sports management type deals. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be somehow involved with sports and athletics. So I knew business, you could do a lot with that degree. So that's basically why I got it, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But yeah, I got my degree there. And then I actually moved back home at the end of my senior year of college because of COVID. So I graduated in May 2020, but I was in Colorado at that time. So I graduated with my business degree, and then I moved to Houston the next month in June. And then that's where I really was okay, I want to be a personal trainer. How do I become that? It's because I wanted to be more on fitness. I love fitness. I love health, everything involved with it. So I ended up getting my certification this past January. So January 2021. And I've been training clients since then. I have different clients with different backgrounds, different goals, different ages. So it's just really fun just learning more about them and their goals and how I can help them. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I work at a gym here in Houston, and then I also have my clients that I have just found on my own. So yeah.
Pretty wild ride so far, it seems like. It's getting to travel around a little bit, experience different areas and different kind of cultures in a way. I think there's a lot of different stuff when you go from, Colorado to Texas to Louisiana. You said that's where. Louisiana.
Yeah, so. I had never even been to the South before my recruiting trip. That was my first time ever going to the South, and it was to Louisiana of all places, which is even differenter or more different. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a culture shock. But I'm glad I made the move. Yeah,
it's it really is a whole different kind of experience. Not that I've drove through, but I was a very small kid when I did, but just what you hear and the culture, it's very different. It feels from, even if you compare it to where I'm from, Kentucky or Mississippi or Tennessee, it just seems its own. It's got its own culture differences, and I guess French, French influences.
Yeah, no doubt. It's insane. It's definitely a party place too, with Mardi Gras and everything. You can walk down the street holding alcohol at any point. It's insane. That place is crazy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere New Orleans. I want to go. To me, it's a little kind of nerve wracking because just the way what you hear about it and everything, but it does seem like there's a lot of cool culture and history there for sure to check out. But
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Getting into, you talked about your family really being kind of very physical and into that kind of lifestyle and in that world. But growing up, what did that make you, was there pressure on you, or was it just something that came natural to kind of jump into that kind of thing?
I think it definitely just came pretty natural. Like, I don't really remember anything else, if that makes sense. Like, all I remember is just growing up playing sports. I started off a gymnast. That didn't really stick too long. I just did it really because my sisters did it and I wanted to be like them. And then after that, I got right into playing soccer, and I was probably in like the second grade at this point. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of coordinated, I guess. Like, looking back, I'm like, okay. And after that, I got into basketball, and then I started playing volleyball with my sisters. My older sister quit gymnastics, and that's when she started getting into volleyball. And so me and my other sister started getting into it as well. We actually had like an 18-foot ceiling in my house in Colorado. So we would pass the ball back and forth to each other in our living room as like little kids. My mom wasn't really the biggest fan of it, but you know, it got me a scholarship. So
it paid off. The broken lamps paid off.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Broken picture frames, everything. But I just like lived and breathed volleyball, and I loved it. So it never really seemed like pressure. And I have like the most supportive family I could ever ask for. So they were supportive with like everything, every single sport, everything, supportive doing anything I do. So yeah, it never really felt like pressure. It was just kind of a way of growing up.
So when did you really start to, or did you really start to, when did volleyball become kind of its own thing? Did you ever just say, okay, I'm done with everything else, it's volleyball and nothing else?
Yeah, for sure. I felt like I needed to do that because I knew I wanted to play in college. So I was like, okay, I need to take a step back from the other sports. And I think that's really what ultimately got me like a scholarship, because I ended up playing club volleyball, and you can't really play anything else while you're doing a club sport just because like it takes up all your time. You're traveling a lot. So my sophomore year of high school, that's when I quit soccer. I quit quit basketball. And I really just focused on volleyball. And I think that was the best move. And I definitely like recommend other people like trying to figure out what they want to do. Definitely recommend doing that, like focusing on what you like the best and what you think you have the most potential in. Because if you take it seriously and like keep working hard, then it can get you different opportunities. So I'm super glad I did it. And it definitely paid off for me in the most part.
Yeah. And it seems like, sophomore year, that's pretty, well, for these days standards, at least that's kind of late in the game almost but did you see any benefit from holding out and not specializing as early?
Yeah, I think just like playing basketball, obviously there's like a lot of change of direction and everything. And I think that helped me like learning and all the exercises I did in basketball really like correlated to my volleyball skills. So I'm kind of glad that I did. I could have probably cut it a little bit earlier just to even maybe get more opportunity with volleyball, but I'm glad. I think the timing of what I did worked out pretty well, because I still got the fun and enjoyment of playing basketball and soccer and like different sports. But then I also got to like crack down and just focus on volleyball, which is what I wanted to do too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your high school, was it big? Was it small? Like what kind of community did you grow up in? It was a decent sized high school. So Colorado only goes up to 5A, which I know different states do different things, and we were a 5A school. We were probably one of the smaller ends of the 5A school. We were a decent volleyball team. We weren't like anything great. We didn't end up going to state or anything any of my years, but we weren't terrible either. We were probably like middle of the pack. I think I graduated with like, maybe like 700 kids, 1,000. I could be way off on that, but that sounds about right. Yeah. It seems like that's a pretty good sized school, and to be able to play 3 sports is definitely, it shows athleticism. It shows, I guess, too, your body being a little bit resilient, not having any injuries that may keep you from doing that. What was the strength and conditioning like at your high school?
Non-existent. We didn't really do much with that. On my own, I didn't really lift weights until I got into college. And I think that's why in college I really took a liking to it. But we just mainly practiced our sport and what we did. We ran a lot in both basketball and volleyball, but we didn't ever go to the weight room, which I think would have helped us a lot. We could have been a lot better if we did do that, because there's so many benefits coming from lifting. But no, it was mostly just like little circuit workouts here and there, or like sprints or something like that. We did have to run a lot. I remember that, but nothing with the weight room, which is kind of surprising. But I did do a lot of jump training on my own outside of like actual practice, because I'm only 5'6", and playing volleyball in the front row, it's pretty short. Usually girls are like 6 foot and above. So I was a hitter when I was in high school, but when I moved to playing volleyball in college, I just stuck to the back row because these girls are like 6'4". There's no way I'm like hitting over that block. So I was libero. I don't know if you know anything about volleyball, but I'm the one that like wore the different colored jersey and like defense only. So, yeah. Actually, a little bit of experience with not experience, but knowledge with some volleyball. Not too much. I feel like it's one of those sports where you have to have like so many different skill set, like your body at least has to have so many different capabilities. You know, you have to be able to have power. You have to be, conditioned well. So for sure, yeah.
What kind of difference when you did start in college, when you did start going to the weight room and strength conditioning stuff started to pick up? What kind of differences in your own capabilities on the court did you see?
Right. I saw a lot. I think just in general, I got faster, and like my change of direction was a lot better. It's just like volleyball, you never know like where the ball is going to go. So you just have to have quick reaction time, So that's something that definitely improved, because we just were overall doing more things with power, more things with just quickness in general. So that's one thing that really improved. I didn't have to jump like personally while I was playing. I jump serve, but that was about it. But my vertical went up, just like little things like that. It definitely took my game to a new level, and especially playing against opponents that were just like on the next level, like crazy good volleyball players. You definitely hitting the weight room helped with that. Like conditioning and weightlifting, it's something that's so important, and I think it was really beneficial to my game.
You talked about playing against those super high level athletes. Did you play against anybody that you kind of looked up to before you started in college volleyball, and then you got to kind of play against them and experience, playing against somebody that you did look up to, or not really? Yeah,
for sure. I think, one of the teams that I would like watch even before I even played college volleyball was Ole Miss, because they're a pretty decent team, and they're just like, it's Ole Miss. I just like that school. So I'd always watch them. And we played them twice in my college career, and both times they totally demolished us. But it was such a good experience, because I'm like, these girls are crazy athletes, and they are people that I watched even in high school, like just watching them in the tournament and everything. So it's really neat playing them, and like people on Washington State or like Alabama, just like crazy good schools, and like going to their facilities and seeing, like, we had a really nice facility ourselves, but like just seeing everything they have, and like the Pac-12 and everything. It was super neat. They put a lot of money into that. So
yeah, it is insane the money put in. I know it's a different sport, but just, I think they did something on ESPN one time about Oregon's football locker room and just what it looked like. And it was like, that thing has to be like more expensive than like the whole academic part of the whole like system, but it's nuts.
Yeah. That, and like, I went to school in Louisiana, so LSU, they spend crazy amounts of money on all their facilities, especially football. So
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, definitely the LSU, man, I can't imagine. I guess you were there the year that they won the college football thing, right? Not obviously at the school, but in the state, like a couple of years back.
Yeah, I was there from like 2016 to 2020. So yeah, I think it was in that time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was 2019, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of like LSU fans on campus and just like crazy stuff going down?
Yes, even more so than McNeese. Sometimes we're like, okay, you go to McNeese, be a McNeese fan. But yeah, it's all LSU. And their coach, Ed Orgeron, their son is actually the quarterback for our football team.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and then he has a twin brother that also played for like a couple years. But yeah, he was there a lot, and it's definitely go Tigers everywhere. I swear.
Yeah. It's funny because I went to a smaller school in Kentucky. I went to Northern Kentucky, but everybody in the state, and it's right on the border of Ohio, so everybody pretty much is growing up a fan of like University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, Cincinnati, Ohio State. So, everybody's wearing their clothes around that show these different schools. And one day the president or the dean, whoever, sent out an email. It was like, let's start supporting our own school. And I was like, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but it's so crazy. Like in Kentucky, it's just different. Like college basketball is so big that you can't really, transform somebody to be a diehard fan of another school. It's just like it's a tradition.
That's true. Yeah. They had a good volleyball team too, Kentucky.
Yeah. So I don't want to jump too far back and forth, but going back to kind of your high school days, what was a big difference kind of comparing your high school and college practices?
Right. That's a good question. I think, it was more for my college career, it was more defense focused just because, in any sport, defense wins games, And so we really took a point to do serve receive for an hour and a half straight where people would just serve balls to us and we just have to pass. Literally did that an hour and a half straight. And then when we get into more playing type drills where it was just scrimmage each other. So it was more game-like situations. When in high school, we did more, I feel like we worked on offense more, and it was more just I don't know, it was just more drills. We got through a lot of drills in one practice when in my college days, we literally focused on the same thing for nearly 2 hours straight, and then we would move on. So I think that was it. And then we would also go straight from weights to practice. Those days were tough just because our legs were tired from weights and we'd have to just stay low all the time, obviously in volleyball. But yeah, I feel like college was more definitely just one drill specific and they were both beneficial, obviously, but I think I prefer the college route for sure. Just sticking to doing one thing, especially because I have to serve receive the entire time in the game. So that's something that I really wanted to make sure was on point. So,
right. That's pretty cool to kind of dive deeper into, one aspect of the game. Is it, how would you walk us through kind of your average day? You have practice, but what do you do? An average practice day, what do you do from wake up till you go to bed?
So we usually had weights in the morning. So we would go to weights and it was usually around 5:30 or 6, depending. 5:30 or 6. We would always have to get there 20 minutes early. So it was always earlier than that. And then from there, we usually went into position specific practice. So our hitters would do something, our defenders would do something. And we did that for usually 1 or 2 hours. And then we would all go to class. And then after class, we would have a team practice where it was more scrimmage type things. And then usually after practice, we had conditioning. So then you go home, sleep, wake up, repeat. So it was basically just that. And you had to we had to get study hall hours too. I forgot about that. Mandatory study hall hours where we had to go in a room and do that. I think it was 1 hour a day, or we had to get a certain number of hours a week. But
gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely a pretty full day. And I just know from being around a few people in college that did play sports, it's crazy the demands on you. And
yeah, for sure.
Just being a non-athlete in college, just already feeling pressure from homework and tests and papers and wanting to do social things too. It's just, how did you manage to, or, did you find the time for the social aspect of college as well?
Yeah, I think I did. I was pretty good about utilizing the study hall hours to actually get my stuff done that I had to. And then when I was done with all of that, weekends when we didn't have games after practice, I'd usually hang out with friends or whatever. There was a lot of times I had to decline doing stuff just because I'm I can't, I have to get up in 6 hours to work out. I don't want to be tired during the whole day. I definitely had to sacrifice some stuff, I guess, in some social events, especially when we were on the road. So there was one, I think it was my sophomore year, or junior year, we went to Washington, to Denver. We actually got to go back home, and so my family came and everything. And then we went to a Texas tournament 3 weekends in a row. So I think I went to 4 days of school in those 3 weeks. Wow. So that was tough. And especially because we had nursing majors on my team. And they had the worst of it. So I was business, which was a little bit easier, but yeah.
Man, I can't imagine just you're in college, so I think a lot of people who watch college sports, they see college athletes as like these entertainment people. It's like you turn on the TV and you watch them and you get some entertainment value out of them, but then you don't think about, this person has homework after this, or this person, is dealing with something at home, or this person is whatever. It's just, especially I think as a kid, when you grow up watching sports, you don't think about that kind of thing. Did you ever, going into college, did you find yourself maybe with the perspective of not thinking about all those aspects? Did you go in thinking, just with your head thinking, okay, I'm a college athlete, and did you not take the other factors into consideration maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think something that I learned right off the bat was I cannot procrastinate anymore, because high school, like, procrastinate all you want, you're gonna like pass. But college, I was like, okay, I just got assigned this, I'm gonna get it done, so I don't have to do it after practice type thing. So I think I actually learned from it. It did take a couple months because, we had to go to summer school. So summer school was easy because we had like 2 classes, and then our coaches actually weren't allowed to go to practice with us during summer. So it was like a self-ran practice. So it wasn't anything crazy during the summer, and I think that was a good way just to ease into things. Because then once fall hit, it was like, okay, you got to go because you're going to be on the road all the time. But my coaches, I'm really grateful. They were really good about prioritizing school for all of us. So they're like, all right, you guys have to go to study hall. And even though it's kind of like annoying at the time, it's like, if they didn't do that, we probably would not get our homework done at home. So yeah, no, they definitely helped us out a lot, but took some getting used to, I guess.
Yeah. I guarantee. Just for me, like, again, a non-college athlete, it took me a few weeks to get into the flow of, like you said, procrastination. I felt like my first few weeks in college, I was like experiencing everything and not really. It was like time went by in a whole different speed. At one point, it was like days are lasting. It seems like minutes, and then at another point, it's like, trying to get through the week. But yeah, the getting used to period, I think it's a period that especially if you go away to college, it's a lot different too, because you don't have your parents to wake you up. You don't have your parents to do your laundry or fix you dinner or all of these things. It's all on you. It's like you literally have to grow up within a matter of days. A lot of people don't handle that well, and that's, I guess, why you see so many people after the first semester even just kind of can't handle that kind of freedom. And I think it's definitely something that as an athlete you definitely have more responsibility. Did you feel like that responsibility maybe helped keep you on a schedule more than if you weren't an athlete? Oh,
for sure. Yeah, I think my overall just like awareness of what I had going on, I became more independent. Like, I became more disciplined. It just taught me so much. And even like to this day, I will never be late to anything, like, ever. I just like, time management was so huge in college and for playing a sport especially. So I think it definitely helped in that sense with just like every aspect of my life. It just helped that much more just because there was so much on your plate at the time. But it was fun. Like, as much work as it was, like, it was definitely worth it because you got to play the sport you want. You got to go to school for free, and you got like cool things out of it. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Was it like socially? What was it socially like in college? Being a college athlete, was there attention on campus? Was there like different things that I can't really like give too many examples because I don't like know, but was there anything specific to being an athlete that was maybe like a perk or, a little bit better than if you weren't an athlete? Yeah, I think especially in like Charles, like, it's a pretty small town, and if you're an athlete, like, they kind of looked up to you, I guess. My school was mostly just like athletes and frat and sorority. Like, it was 2 spectrums. We didn't have, do you know what a NARP is? Have you heard of a NARP? I haven't. It's a non-athletic regular person. So like, we didn't have many NARPs at my school, and when you did, like, we called you NARPs. So, but no, a lot of my friends and all of that were all athletes. So like, I didn't really get it in that sense, just because we're kind of going through the same thing, like volleyball, football, baseball, soccer, we all hung out together. So we kind of like related to each other, and it's like, oh, I can't go out of practice. It's like, okay, I can't go tomorrow, I have practice type thing. So it was hard working around our schedules, but I mean, it was cool when you saw like little like high schoolers come to your game. It's like, oh my God. And we had got to like give autographs after, like that part's pretty cool. But on campus, actually, it was just like you're surrounded by those people. So it was kind of not the same, I guess.
Kind of going back in time again, I feel like I'm jumping around, but going back in time to when you're getting recruited, what was the recruitment process like? Was it kind of cool?
Yeah. For me, I think I definitely had more of a unique experience with that. I wouldn't really take my own or take what I did for other people, just because it was kind of, I got really lucky. Like, so usually people these days, like they get on recruiting sites and everything, like their freshman, sophomore year, even sometimes earlier than that. I always knew I wanted to play college volleyball, but I didn't really take the steps to get there until I was like a junior. So I like put my stuff up on a website and all of that, but we ended up going to a tournament in Kansas City my junior year, and the coaches for McNeese, they came and watched the game, but they were watching a girl on the other team, and she was like the libero for them. And so they were looking at recruiting her, but I was playing against her, and they ended up recruiting me, which was awesome for me. Like, it was super lucky. I don't really know how that worked out so well, because I ended up literally 2 weeks later, I ended up like verbally committing to that school after I visited it. But yeah, my recruiting, I guess it was very unique, because a lot of people usually go in and like they have coaches watching them specifically at a game, or they have their videos up online and like people get in contact with them then. But I haven't even heard of McNeese until I got recruited from them. I'm like, who? But yeah, so I got super lucky, super grateful for that.
So did they like come up to you after the game, or was it like a letter sent to you afterward? Like, how did they officially say, hey, you know, we're interested in you?
I think they talked to my coach at the time. And then from there, it was literally like a week after that tournament, I ended up flying to Louisiana, and I went on my unofficial visit. So I just got like a campus tour. They like offered me a scholarship, whatever. We did that whole thing. And then I verbally committed literally like the next day. Like, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I want to play college volleyball. Like, let's do it. And then it was a couple months after that, I like signed with them. But yeah, they ended up talking to my coach. I don't even know if they directly could talk to me, because there's like certain rules with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the timeline and everything. It's weird, but
the NCAA has some crazy regulations. Like, what are I feel like there's people that just get hired just to make up new rules, and it's nuts.
I think so. Yeah. I don't think they came up to me, but yeah, it worked out for the most part. So, were
there some people in your high school that were going to play D1 in your senior year? Were you kind of like one of the few?
I think I'm the only one that even played college volleyball. For at least in my graduating class, I think there was a couple girls that played like JUCO or maybe like an NAIA school. But I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that did it and like stuck with it for all 4 years. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think there's like girls there now that are getting offers. They're kind of upping their volleyball game.
Gotcha. Kind of set the tone for the setting trends over there. It's kind of cool that you got to, you know, have that experience too. I mean, that's definitely a good distance away to go. Look at the school, take your unofficial visit. What's the difference between like an unofficial visit and an official visit?
So the unofficial, my parents came with me, and they're not allowed to like pay for anything for you. I'm pretty sure you get your own hotel. You just come to visit the school. They kind of make their offer. They do all of that. But then on your official visit, when you verbally commit, you get an official visit, and they have like a certain amount of money they can spend on you on like, well, food and like whatever else you wanted to take to do with the recruit. And you stay with the actual team. So I stayed in the dorms with some of my teammates, well, future teammates. And my dad came, but he like stayed in a different area, obviously. But yeah, it was pretty neat, pretty good experience. And then they take you around. They were having a game that day, so I went and watched the volleyball team play, and then I watched the football team play. So I got like the college experience without being in college and seeing kind of what I'm getting into, which was nice.
Yeah, on that visit when you stayed with the team, what was that like? I mean, was it not like hazing or anything, but was there like any like kind of like an unofficial, not really welcome because you weren't there yet, but you know what I'm saying, like a little some stuff going on?
Yeah, not really. I mean, the girls were all really welcoming. I was so nervous. I was like, these are going to be my future teammates. Like, I need to impress them type thing. But no, it wasn't anything crazy like that. They were all pretty cool for the most part. I'm actually living with one of my teammates now, the girl that I took the official visit with. We're roommates. So right today. So it worked out well. Not too much hazing.
Yeah, not too much. Can't tell all the secrets, but
don't want to get them in trouble.
What's the difference between like verbally committing? Like what's the, I guess, is there any lock-in with that versus actually like committing?
Yeah, so verbal basically is just like, you're obviously not signing anything. It's just verbal, but you're just saying you're taking a spot on the team, I guess. And at that point, you have the right to leave and your coach has the right to leave or to not let you come. So it's not like set in stone. So even if you got like a verbal commitment, like that can always be taken away from you. So you got to make sure that even after that, you're like still like working hard and doing all that. You're not on the team yet. And so then when you actually sign, that's when you have basically like a contract type thing of you get this much years of school paid for or that type. And that can be taken away, but that's like at my school, they didn't do that. Like if you signed, you're like getting your scholarship for that 4 years. You're going to be on your team. Even if you didn't decide to be on the team, in some cases, they still let you keep the scholarship depending on your situation. So,
gotcha. Yeah. How many people were on the team initially when in your class that didn't make it all the way through?
We had a really good class. There was, I think, 5 of us total. 6 of us total. One ended up redshirting, so I'm not counting her. So 5 of us total, and then 1 ended up dropping out after the first semester, and then the next 4 of us stuck it out all 4 years. Which I think that's really rare, though, because the rest of the classes to come has always had people like they only have like 2 seniors on the team, that type thing, because people just drop out, you know. Yeah,
gotcha. So, yeah, that is pretty. It sounds like it is pretty good retention right there.
Yeah,
but
for sure. And we were all roommates and everything. Like I think that's partly why we stuck through it, because we got through it with each other.
Yeah,
so, worked out.
When you first met each other, was it kind of like y'all got along right away, or was there kind of a period there where it maybe was awkward or different things going on? Like, how did your relationship go from the beginning?
I think it was a mixture depending on the person. There was like one of my best friends now, Keegan, shout out Keegan. Me and her like clicked right away. And she's still like my best friend to this day. And then the other girls, it took a little more time getting used to, but we're like best friends to this day too. So it's really cool because we're all super close still. And we don't see each other too often, even though we all live in the Houston area now. But we're all like obviously busy with our jobs and everything. So I don't get to see them too often. But yeah, it was a good class.
That's good. That's definitely a good, because one bad kind of relationship can turn things bad for the whole team. So it's good to.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I think those people kind of filtered themselves out like down the line. Not really in my class, but like in the years later, like we had a really good team unity for the most part. We all got along really well. We're all like sisters. We were with each other 24/7, so we had to get along.
Talking about the teammates, was there a bunch of people from just a lot of different areas around the country? Was there anybody from outside the country?
No. So my team was basically Texas, Louisiana, and then Colorado. Me. Most people were all from the Houston area. That was like, there was 16 of us on the team, and I want to say like 9 of them were from Houston, like the Houston area, and Houston's huge.
Yeah.
But then there was me, there was a Florida girl, and then the rest were like Louisiana. And some of the girls were like teammates prior to playing at McNeese, like in high school for club and everything. It was neat to play with people because especially I was kind of like the outsider of the group just because they're all very Southern. And then there was like a Colorado person. So it was kind of like, they told me I talk funny and I'm like, you can hear you from my end. You talk funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
So if somebody plays college volleyball and they have a good career, what is the next step? Like if they're just a really good player, what is the next step for them if they want to continue playing volleyball?
I know a lot of people go outside of the States to play pro. that's mainly what they have to do just because there's not a USA team. But I just heard that they're making a professional women's USA team here soon. So I guess that'll be the next step. That'd be so cool. Excited to watch that. But yeah, you would probably have to go outside of the States, or I know a lot of people, if you play indoor for a couple of years, you can also play beach at another school for a couple of years if you want to. So that's another step you can take. But
yeah, I didn't think there was anything in the US, which is really weird because there's so many other things. But
yeah, I heard they're making a league for that though here soon. So hopefully sooner than later. But
yeah, I think volleyball really is growing. I think it'll probably catch on. The league will probably catch on at some level because, even amongst the male population, I think it's growing as well. It's just kind of, I think one of those sports to where you don't need like tons of equipment. You can just do it. You can practice by yourself. You can do it inside, I guess, if you want to, if it's a rainy day. It's one of those sports kind of like soccer to where you don't really need much other than the ball. Even you really don't even need a net. You can just do like an imaginary net or whatever if you wanted to.
Exactly. But yeah, and it's so fun to watch, which a lot of people are like don't really come to a lot of volleyball games. I know it's not one of the most popular sports, but it's definitely fun to watch and play, obviously. Yeah,
I think it's kind of like hockey or something like that, to where if you understand the game, it's pretty exciting and you can get into it. Because it's pretty fast and it's not much, hanging out. And I think even sports like football, which is one of the most popular, there's just so much time to where you're not even playing.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
But what's the difference between sand volleyball and playing on a court?
So sand, you only have 2 people as opposed to, it's 2 as opposed to 6. And then there's different rules that you can't do in sand volleyball. Like you can't take a first, you can't take a first ball with like, if somebody hits it at you, you have to take it with your platform, or you have to like put your hands like this. You can't have open hands. And if you're going to put it over the net and like set it, you have to be facing where you're setting. You can't like do like a little trick shot, if that makes sense. It's just weird, slightly different rules like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same. And they played a 21. We played a 25. I think I definitely prefer indoor, but now that I'm in Texas, they have a lot of like different beach tournaments here. So I need to get into more of those because they look fun.
Is it something that you could just like go back and forth between?
Yeah, I think it could be depending on your position. Like in my case, I'm not really much of a hitter anymore just because I like did defense all through college. But if you're like an all-around player where you hit and play defense, I think that's where you'll really excel, is playing sand. I still have like good control and stuff when hitting, but if you can put the ball down but also dig the ball, like you're going to excel a lot in sand volleyball. It's a lot of fun too. It's a lot more tiring. You get a lot more touches and you have to move in sand, and that's just difficult in itself. So yeah.
Getting into kind of present day, you graduate, you have your degree, business. How do you see kind of utilizing that business degree with training others?
It is my goal for one day, I think, to own my own gym. So I think it'd be, obviously the business aspect of that would be really helpful with my degree and everything. So I could utilize that for sure. And just even getting clients and like the sales part of getting clients, like a business degree definitely helps with that, because just it's basically personal training is like selling like yourself, I guess, and also like the product of what can come from your client if they like put in the work and everything. So I think that is definitely something that will help out with my degree, will help out. And especially having the nutrition part of it as well, minoring in nutrition. I just feel like I have a lot more knowledge about that now too, which of course I know I can't go over my scope of practice with like my personal training certification, but I can definitely use my nutrition knowledge to help them out as well.
Yeah, I think that's such a big aspect, is having nutrition knowledge, because there's so much stuff out there that is just not good information. And when you go to somebody that has like actual stuff that can help them, to me, it's the most important aspect. You have to have that nutrition down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's what I try to tell my clients as well. Like I try to give them information on that and like what I know about that, because at the end of the day, we can work out like a lot and every day and really hard. But if you're not like getting your nutrition in line with your goals, then you're never going to reach them, because it has so much to do with your body and how you're feeling and how you move it. So yes, definitely a big aspect of health and wellness for sure.
When you stopped with the volleyball, was there a period to where you're like, okay, I'm kind of taking a break with all this crazy, routine and stuff? Was there a period with that, or was it just kind of rolling right into, your personal, doing it for your own sake kind of?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just getting, like, I didn't really have a period where I stopped just because I just love working out. So it was definitely just like a switch of goals kind of. So less volleyball specific goals, like training wise. Like obviously I still implemented a lot of that stuff in my own workouts, but it was more like, okay, grow my glutes type thing, or like get my legs stronger, but not in like the volleyball sense, and like more of like an aesthetic sense, and also performance that doesn't have anything to do with like volleyball per se. But yeah, I just rolled right into it. I just love working out, and it helped because my family's like that. So when I went home for Christmas, which is after volleyball season ended, like they're all in the same boat as me, like, let's go to the gym type thing. So it's nice having those people around for sure. Having
somebody, at least, I feel like a lot of people kind of get stuck out there by themselves, and especially kind of during COVID, to when it's harder to talk to people at the gym if you're even going to the gym. Just having somebody around to, support you. And I think that's where a personal trainer can actually come in, is that mental side as well. There's so much benefit to just somebody being there and saying, you got this. Do you have any questions? How are you doing? Do you need anything? Like,
right.
And exactly. That's something that a friend could do too. But I just feel like, it takes somebody that has experience with that specific.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
But getting to, your own training, what is that? You talked about the aesthetic side of it more, but what are the major like exercise differences? Are you doing more isolation stuff? Are you doing more like what's the major difference now between college and just kind of doing it for yourself?
I would say it is more just isolation stuff, and I'm on it like a different program than what we did in college. Like the movements I do now, like they are similar. But we had, I don't know, I guess it was more like jump specific, quickness specific for volleyball, which, I mean, that's still a lot of squats, power cleans. Like I don't power clean anymore. Like that was like the one thing we did almost every day were power cleans. And I don't do those anymore just because they weren't my favorite. Plus, like, I don't feel the need to do them. But yeah, it's mostly just, I have like an upper body day and a lower body day. So it's really just like a split training routine, when I feel like in volleyball, we did full body, like every single workout. It was like, all right, legs, arms, supersets, like the entire time. When now I just do more like day focused split routine, where it's like legs, glutes, arms, upper body, that type.
Gotcha. So you talked about wanting to, have your own business, your own gym one day. And so you're working, I think you said at the beginning, but you're working with a gym right now, and then have some of your own clients as well?
Yes. Yep. That's right. That's what I'm doing right now. And it would be a goal in the future just to like have my own business and just be in my own control of what I want to do. And then also having my own gym where I train people, and then I get trainers as well. But yeah, I think that'd be a super cool goal for me, especially because I have like the management degree and everything, and I have like some knowledge about that. And I know it takes a lot of hard work to build a business. So I'm sure that will be like years down in the future, but I think it'd be really neat just to have my own gym. Yeah,
I think the business major background is definitely a big advantage, because a lot of people have the physical, the training side down. They have the movements down, but they don't necessarily know how to take that step into their own deal, their own business.
Right. And I know at some gyms that I've like applied for, they make you be like salespeople and like learn the business aspect of the gym before you even like can become a trainer there. I didn't have to do that at the gym I'm at now. I just got straight into personal training, which I'm like kind of glad I did, because I kind of feel like I'm okay on the sales part. But yeah, it is an advantage to have, I feel like, just having that knowledge in the back of your mind.
Yeah, for sure. So getting that business degree, was that something that came from kind of your own head, or was that something that your parent or a coach was like, hey, this might be a good idea to do?
Honestly, it was just kind of like, I don't know what I want to major in. Business you can do a lot with. Let me major in business type thing. Literally had no idea what I wanted to do when I was going into college. I had different ideas, and I didn't know I wanted to do something with nutrition, at least, just because I had more of a liking towards that when I was younger. But yeah, it was more so like, I don't really know what I want to do. I know business, you can have a lot of opportunities that come with that and get yourself involved with a lot of different things with that. So that's basically where it came from. Nothing too specific there. But
Gotcha. So do you ever see yourself going back in like coaching or, at any level?
Like coaching volleyball or strength?
Coaching volleyball, yeah.
I don't know. I think I would do more of I would want to do more of the strength level and fitness. Like I'd want to be a strength or conditioning coach, not necessarily a volleyball coach. I tried it with little kids when I was in college. Not really my thing. Maybe if they were if it was college volleyball, I think I could do that because I think it'd be super fun, especially at that level of play. But I know you have to start, in anything, you have to start pretty low. And I don't think I would want to be a volleyball coach, but I think I would definitely want to be like a strength and conditioning coach for even a college team or anything. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Being a part of a team aspect again, even if you're coaching it, it's just a lot of fun. Right. Our strength coaches at McNeese, my coach did volleyball, and then they did girls basketball, and then they did football too. So they had a lot of different things you have to focus on for each of those sports. So they were just really well-rounded with that. Yeah. Are those people do you still keep in contact with them? Are they kind of maybe mentors when it comes to the personal, the training side of things now? Who do you look up to or get advice from on that side of things? Oh, for sure. Yeah. One of my coaches, his name's Coach Nate. He helped me a lot through just college and with my own progress with strength and everything, obviously, but also afterwards I was like, hey, how do I get into what you're doing? I want to do that. And he gave me a lot of advice. And then he offered me to be his GA at McNeese. But I was already kind of settled in Houston and everything. And I was like, I don't think I want to move back there quite yet. But yeah, he's definitely been a lot of help, and I've learned a lot from him. And he was a new coach when he started out with our team, but just seeing him grow and all of that he's learned, and how much we grew from him is just awesome, because he was just a rookie when he started out, and now it's cool just to see how far he's come, and I want to do that same thing. So moving forward into the future, you talked about wanting to grow maybe potentially into a business one day, but what other goals do you have as far as, personal goals moving into maybe the next 2 to 3 years? I don't know. I think what I want to do is I'm either going to stay in Houston or move to California, because that's where both my sisters live. So I think it'd be really cool to go out to California, just be on the beach, and just do fitness 24/7, whether that's training myself, training other clients, starting a gym there potentially in the future. I think that'd be really expensive, but it'd be a lot of fun. So I think that's really a goal of mine, is to just establish myself as a personal trainer and want people to really just train with me because they know they'll get the results they want, and that I'll make a lifestyle change for them, not just a quick fix, Yep. So I know that's what some trainers do, is just, you can't really lose that much weight in that much time and sustain it, if that makes sense. Absolutely. It's going to be slow progress for sure. Yeah. And I like to tell people that from the get-go so that they know it's going to be slow and steady, but it's going to be a lifetime of this, not just a couple months and then you gain it all back type thing. Yeah. Some people don't really realize that it's all going to fall in line. You'll probably become happier. It's not going to fix all your problems, but you'll have a different outlook on life, and you'll probably just in general be happier because you're taking care of yourself and fueling your body and moving it in the right way. So yeah. I think that's a good thing for sure. What kind of advice would you have for maybe younger girls going into high school or somewhere around that age if you want to become a college athlete? I think, one, just keep working hard. Just get as many touches on a ball if it's volleyball or anything like that. In that sense, just keep working, and you're going to eventually, like, your progress will pay off. All your work will pay off and you'll see progress. And I think another thing is something I had to do was you're going to have to like sacrifice something. In my case, it was like basketball, soccer, whatever, but it was like what I wanted to do. I saw the most potential with it. I was the best at it, and it was the most fun for me because of those two things. So I think if you have a vision of what you want to do, or you have a specific sport that you want to play, I think it's going to be really beneficial for you if you just put all your time and energy into that eventually, and you focus on that for some time, whether that's playing club, whether that's just playing high school, and just focusing on that one thing until you get recruited. And make sure you put yourself out there, not really like I did. I got lucky, but make sure you get on like the recruiting sites and everything, because that's how most people do it. And then they get coaches to come look at them. I think that's super helpful as well. Like, put yourself out there, take videos of yourself playing your sport, get your games up, get your highlights up. And yeah, I think that's just put all your effort and time into whatever you want to do. And I think it'll definitely benefit you in the future.
Along those lines of kind of putting yourself out there, do you think people are getting better at that just because they're so used to like being on social media and being more outgoing on those platforms? Do you think more people are, even if they're not necessarily
that way in real life?
Yeah, even if they're not necessarily that way, they still kind of do it?
Yeah, for sure. I think social media is a really good way to just get yourself out there in general.
I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It was good to talk to you, and thanks for sharing your time today. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of The Weight Room. I think it was a really good podcast, good episode, just to kind of get the feel of being a college athlete. You know, a lot of people don't really have that experience, and me included, so it's just fun to learn and listen and just kind of gain some perspective on what it is really like, because like I said, I think we all kind of see college athletes as just being some entertainment. So it's cool to kind of get behind the scenes and, you know, see what the other side is kind of experiencing. So great episode. Make sure before we head out that you're subscribed to The Weight Room wherever you are listening. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere you find podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed. Would really appreciate that. And other than that, that is it for today. Have a great day, and we will see you soon.